How you feel about AI?
You're talking about like generative AI specifically. So I think it's a complicated topic that I've been kind of, I've spoken loudly about. But so like I understand for anybody that doesn't know, like generative AI is basically when you input like a prompt or text into like an AI and it gives you image results based on what you typed in. Um, I understand from the viewpoint of people that like it, that like the democratization of art, like not having to spend so much money to get like a particular vision done, or not knowing anybody who can produce something that you want, the ability to be able to do that on your own very easily, I could see it being appealing. The reasons that I dislike generative AI art in particular are kind of twofold. Firstly, as it stands now, the models scrape copyrighted work without the permission of the artists, which is, in my opinion, theft. Um, and I'm never going to be on board with that. If there was a way, because I know some companies are starting to like offer their selection of images and things like that for like scraping purposes, I don't have a problem with that because that's all done with permission. Um, but as it stands now, the way that the AI models use images from the internet without asking any of the artists first is not, I don't think it's ethical. Um, that being said, the other issue is that I think it undervalues the human element behind art and how important that is to society. Um, because no matter what, like even if an image doesn't have a story necessarily that's personal about the artist, kind of knowing that an image was created by human hands and knowing that there was a process that was thought out behind that, I think is inspirational on a deep level that we can't even really put into words. I mean, without human art, I don't think society can exist in a healthy way. If you look around at everything, it's all related to art. Um, so I don't think you're going to be able to get that same sort of inspiration uh, and story from like machine driven art. At least not. It's basically like you're looking at art as a product exclusively and not as a process, and not saying anything about like the human experience. And I think that's a big mistake.
Can you explain more how the technology of AI works? Because I don't get it.
Well, I mean, I'm not I'm not an engineer. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not a specialist at like coding AI or anything like that. But basically, these AI models that are really popular right now, ones like Grok and Midjourney and things like that, they're what they call scraping websites, Google image searches, things like that, Pinterest, just anywhere basically you would normally find art, and it's using those pieces to formulate when it creates images. It means in terms of like color, composition, basically everything. And it does it kind of to the best of its ability, but if you're pretty sharp, you can usually see when something's been generated by an AI or not.
Yeah.
But the problem is that it's doing a lot of that, most of it really without the permission of all these different artists. Like it could just find a freelance artist piece on their website, and it utilizes that data without the artist even knowing it. So essentially, it's using the intellectual property of an artist and didn't even have permission. And like it's not always as simple as just like inputting a prompt that's kind of generic. A lot of times they'll actually put in, like people will put in, I want to have this painting of so and so in a car or whatever in the style of, and then they'll put the artist's name. And so that's a big problem to me because it's intentionally using that artist's style to generate its images. You know what
Gotcha.
I mean? Like there's hundreds of artists that were on a list that got leaked from Midjourney that, like then those artists found out and they were basically appalled. They're like, we didn't sign up for this, you know?
Gotcha.
So like from an ethical standpoint, it just doesn't really work for me, you know?
Is there a way they can sue?
Well, there's copyright infringement lawsuits going on right now in California and other places.
Yeah.
It's in the process. I mean, I know Gavin Newsom just signed some kind of law in California that was regulating or making it illegal, like AI voice acting and stuff like that, like basically using actors' voices without their permission,
Yeah,
stuff like that. But it hasn't spilled over into like image generation yet, but it could. It's kind of
okay,
like it's a few, poor artists against the machine. So
got
you
you.
know how those things sometimes go.
The wildest AI I've seen, in my opinion, on Twitter, they'll take a picture meme
Hmm.
and they'll make it a video.
Right.
I think that was insane.
Yeah, the same kind of stuff, pretty
Yeah,
much. I mean, it's utilizing. I mean, I think Sony and a couple other companies are taking them for like lawsuits because they can basically, like, if you put in the right prompts, you can actually remake like Avenger scenes and stuff like that are almost identical to like the original, which proves that they're using the data specifically from those movies. They never asked like Sony for permission to do that.
got you.
So it's one of those things that's kind of like an ethical gray area, I guess. But to me, it's a little repulsive.
I see what
I
you're
don't have any
saying.
issue with artists giving permission and being paid for it. If they want
Yeah,
to put their images, in there to be like scraped and be utilized for that, that's their business. But that's the part that is missing that I don't like.
I get what you're saying.
And like I said, the other argument in dealing with like the human experience of art, that's more of a personal thing. But
Yeah,
I could see a point where people just stop learning how to try to create art because the computer can do it for them. And then where are we? No
got
human
you,
created art? Do you really want that world? Because I don't.
got you.
You know.
With your personal artwork, I heard you mention intellectual property. Do you copyright all your original stuff, or
Well, it's depending on how you use it, a lot of it is copyrighted by default. Like if I can provably show that I was like, this was created by me, it was posted here at this date, etc. Um, but I do a partial like protection. There's a couple of programs that are being developed. One that's called Glaze, and another one that's called Nightshade. Glaze is an app that is supposed to make the images difficult to be scraped by AI, if
yeah,
not impossible. Basically, the AI can't make heads or tails of what the image really is. It gets kind of scrambled and stuff like that. And Nightshade's a program that when you run it through that and then post it, it's supposed to actually sort of poison the algorithm that the AI is using to where it's less effective the next time it scrapes an image.
got
But
you,
you've got the other side, the AI image people are developing ways around it, and it's one of those things. It's like hack counter hack kind of thing.
got you.
So it's kind of an ongoing technology thing.
I think it'll get.
It's complicated.
I think it'll get solved in some years, but I feel like because it's so new, they haven't figured out like a proper way to manage it.
Yeah, it's like the Wild West. Like it's all new, and it's kind of unprecedented technology.
Yeah,
So I don't think people know what to do with it. Kind of.
yeah,
I'd say the biggest thing is they don't really make a lot of money off of it right now, and it requires a lot of energy resources. Like they're talking about building nuclear power plants just to power AI
Oh, word.
because they require basically like massive city grids worth of power just to produce these things because of the servers, and it takes tons of water to keep them cool and stuff like that.
Oh, I
So
had no idea.
yeah, it's pretty wild.
Yeah, I had no idea about the nuclear power and all that. I had no
Yeah.
idea. Okay, word.
I mean, you could come from it from that point too, as far as like environmental effect,
Yeah,
but I don't really know that much about that aspect to speak on it.
got you.
I hope that kind of answers the question.
All right.
Yeah, I like stuff that's made by people.
Yeah. Shout out to Cam. Shout out to Cam for reminding me about that because I did forget about that. My bad.
Yeah, it's an interesting topic to talk about, and it's kind of
Yeah.
ongoing. So,
And it's
Yeah.
super new, like you said.
mhm.
So it's good to hear from a traditional artist, about how they feel about this new form of art coming
Well,
out.
I mean, I'd be lying if I didn't say it didn't affect my bottom line too. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't think I've seen a lot of AI art, and it all looks very just boring to me, or like just very, I don't know, it doesn't have any kind of human touch. There's no change in the iterative process that's meaningful. Like I don't know how you would art direct an AI artist. Like, okay, you produce this, but can you change it to this? Like, what do you do then if you don't have any idea of like how to produce real art? What would you do?
Got you.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, we're gonna find out years to come.
Yeah, I mean, if the technology continues to be developed, I'm sure they will figure out workarounds and stuff like that. So
Yeah, they're gonna figure it
it's
out.
something to think about.
They're gonna figure it out. It's just gonna keep advancing.
Yeah.
AI is very dangerous too, I believe.
Yeah, and then you
It's
can go into like talking about
super.
Skynet and stuff.
Super dangerous. Like especially with the voices and the things that I've seen. A lot of people use AI to scam. It's like new scams.
Deepfakes,
Oh,
all that
crazy
kind of
stuff.
stuff. Yeah.
Crazy stuff. Like I've heard of scams where they'll call your phone, even if you say hello, they'll have an AI scan your voice.
Yeah.
And they'll use that, and they'll use the AI, and they'll write out something, and then the AI will read the sentence in your voice,
right,
and have you call other people, and they'll call your friends thinking that is you,
yeah,
just to get their info from them, and then use that to scam them, and your friends mad at you because they're like, why did you call me from this weird number and stuff like that? Whole time it was AI.
Yeah, and it's something that, you know, as it becomes more prevalent, it's going to be a lot harder to pursue like litigation and, you know, like take people to court over stuff like that. 'Cause it's just so frequent.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah,
it's
ethical
insane.
madness.
It's insane.
Crazy times.
All right, so now we're at the point. Let's go ahead and look into the camera. Like I said earlier, just say anything motivational, inspirational you feel like can help others.
Well, like I said before, surrounding yourself with good people is very paramount. I've told my children, and I tell basically anybody who's kind of wayward and doesn't feel like they know exactly what they're doing or they're stuck, find or pursue the thing that you can't stop thinking about that makes you happiest, and pursue that thing to your utmost ability, because that's kind of like your purpose in life, in my opinion. Like, I think everybody has that thing. You just have to kind of like find what it is, and then you have to be brave enough to pursue it rather than pursuing what you think people expect you to pursue, you know, like in life, basically. Yeah. And just keep working hard.
All right.
That's always my philosophy. So,
hey, you heard it here from David. Find your purpose, keep going, and that wraps up another episode of What's Your Story?